Hello everyone, it's Monique Renewed. Welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be an interesting one. It's not like a documentary, but we're going to take a deep dive into Rihanna's rise to stardom and the spiritual side of this and what Christians can learn about this, okay? We know we don't idolize and worship celebrities as the world does, but I find it interesting when celebrities are able to surpass a certain threshold and make it big. But meanwhile, it seems like, especially as us Christians, we're not able to surpass a certain threshold, and I often think about why that is. So we're going to actually take a look into Rihanna's life and the spiritual practices at play, which essentially created her rise to stardom, and how we can also take advantage of these spiritual practices and soar into the dreams that God has planted into our hearts. And especially how she went from a broken home to billionaire, okay? That is insane to me. What brought this about is that I was watching a few documentaries and interviews with celebrities such as like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B and Rihanna, and I found like a commonality between all of these people, and I wanted to explain this in a video, especially as a Christian YouTuber, and what we can learn from this. Because as children of God, I don't believe that God wants us to die without living out our full potential, especially if other people are able to make it that may not believe in God. I find that a lot of celebrities actually do believe in God, but why is it that they are able to make it into their dreams and to their calling, but for some reason it's like a struggle for other people? One thing that I have seen is that these celebrities, you know, especially Rihanna, they have this unwavering confidence and faith. They know that they are going to be the next big thing, and can't nobody tell them nothing, okay? Even the low down dirty celebrities that are quite shameful because of certain acts that they do, when I watch like their early life or their documentaries, they have like this confidence, they have this knowing. And us Christians, we have this knowing too, especially if God has literally shown you a vision, and he does this oftentimes with his children. He'll show you what you're meant to be and what you're supposed to do, but it's like we retreat, we get scared, we don't have faith, we start to doubt. But like, if you see on the other end, there's people that are like, okay, they don't even have the vision, they don't see it, but they just know, and they go with that knowing, and they're able to overcome obstacles and surpass their beliefs. But meanwhile, the typical Christian will say, I'm waiting on God's timing, or the first sign of rejection, they're like, oh, maybe that wasn't meant for me, maybe that wasn't God's purpose for me. Or they'll say, I'll let God handle it, instead of taking the steps forward needed to reach that vision and that goal. I don't know if we're using God as a crutch, almost, that thinking that he's going to do everything for us, and is actually making us more behind. So for example, one story that I read in the Bible that amazes me to this very day is the story of Noah, and the fact that God made him build the ark by himself. I know that sounds so silly, but when I think about, like, okay, God, why didn't you just make the boat just appear? It took him like, how long did it take him? Like 40 years to build this boat. And I'm like, God, you could have made the boat for But it's like, us humans, we just think that God will do everything for us, and that he's going to be the ones to force our hands to like start the process. But it's like, no, you have to do it for yourself, even if it's something that God has called you to do, okay? Don't expect God to pick up the pen and the notebook for you and to type up the book for you. No, stop being lazy and do it, okay? Just do it. Now, these spiritual practices that we're about to get into, there's 7 of them, okay? And God has placed them into the universe for anyone to take advantage of, whether you're a child of God or not, believe it or not. And some people, you know, they call it the universe or woo-woo, whatever, magic. But it's so funny because it's God who is the one who created the universe, who created these spiritual laws and rules and practices for anyone to be able to use to benefit their life and the lives of many others. But if he doesn't show favoritism, why does it seem like it works for some people, but then for other people it doesn't work? We'll get into that. Spiritual practice number 1, your pain is meant to bring out your purpose. So for example, many of us struggle in life, right? We're not immune to struggles, whoever it is. As long as we're born onto this earth, We're going to have some trials. We're going to have some tribulations. God did promise that in the Bible. However, he promised that everything will work out for your good and for your benefit. So what that means is that instead of cursing your problems, oh, I wish this never happened to me, why did this happen to me, or making yourself be out as a victim, you can actually start to thank God for whatever happened to you, because it's actually going to shape you, mold you, and bring out your purpose in life. So for example, me going through the things that I went through has actually inspired me to write a book about depression. I could have been like, you know what, forget all this, I hate that I went through all of this, but that is what actually birthed a book about overcoming some of the trials that I've been through. Because I know what it's like, I'm able to help others who are going through similar issues overcome. That is what your purpose is supposed to help you do. It's supposed to help you realize what is this pain that you went through and how could you help others overcome this pain as God helped you. Rihanna, as many of us growing up, had a troubling childhood, okay? There was domestic violence in her household. Her dad was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and on top of all that, she actually suffered through an illness of having headaches because of all the trauma that was going on. Despite this, she was able to discover her purpose, her gifting of singing, which God gave her, and she was able to turn into this gifting regardless of the situation that was going on at home. So you might want to run away from your problems, but it is actually supposed to inspire you to run to God and what he has called you to do. So she did not let this break her. She did the opposite, and she let this propel her into her destiny, into her calling, and into her ministry of music. Your ministry is the gifts, the talents, the skills that God has given you in order to enjoy for yourself and to actually benefit others. Your gift is to serve others. So how can you serve others with your gift and your God-given talents? I encourage you to read Matthew 25 verses 14 through 30, the parable of the talents, where Jesus illustrates this, how you're not supposed to bury the talents that God gave you, but you're supposed to multiply it. Within your talents and your purpose, you will experience the spiritual blessings that God has set forth for you since before the beginning of the world was even created. Imagine that he already had you in mind. He already had a plan for you. He already knew how to bless you and through what means and what situations would bring out this purpose. He already had that all together. You just have to reach out to him to find out what that is. Okay, spiritual practice number 2, preparation and training. Okay, this is like the beginning stages when you discover your purpose and your talents and your skills and you start to train it. Even though your talent may be natural to you, however, you just can't just go out there, you know, untrained, unprepared, and start singing on stage like you've been doing this for 4 years. Some people might be able to do that, okay? Some people just got it like that, but 9 times out of 10, you have to practice your gifts, you have to practice your talents so that it could be refined, it could be perfected. Hey, athletes doesn't just go out into, you know, football season and start playing on the field without any type of training. That's insane. You have to get in the gym, you have to eat right, you have to make sure that your mind, body, and soul and spirit are all connected so that you can be working in one accord. An excellent tip as well that Rihanna has done is she took bits and pieces of people that she admired and integrated that into her own personality and into her work. So she really liked Mariah Carey, Madonna, Bob Marley, and it's interesting because you can see that through her work and through her own personality. And this created her own unique blend of reggae, hip hop, R&B, all of those styles into her music. And you can hear it in her music. So what I would encourage you to do is to take people that you admire that are already where you want to be and see what it is that you like about that and integrate that into your own life. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily copy them, but you can draw inspiration from them and make it your own. You don't necessarily have to create something new from scratch. You could just reinvent it and put your personality into it. So spiritual practice number 3 is stepping stones and alignment. This is where you start to get your footing into things, okay? In Zechariah 4:10, it says, "Do not despise small beginnings, because God rejoices to see the work begin." So how many of us, we have a knowing of what to do, but we're scared to actually begin? That's out of alignment. You have to actually start. Nothing is going to be perfect. That's why it's called stepping stones, because it grows bigger and bigger once you actually get your technique and you grasp your footing. So most of us want to give up once we don't see like either the audience or the numbers or the accolades that we're thinking that we're gonna get by stepping into whatever God has called you to do. But you can't be discouraged over that, and you can't lose sight of the goal or the vision. You have to keep going. This is actually a test to see if you will give up over any inconvenience or setback. Because the thing about it is, once you do reach that vision that God has shown you, you're still going to experience problems in life. It doesn't stop. So if you are quitting now in the beginning stages, you're not going to make it to the next stage, because any minor inconvenience you give up, anything happens, you give up. So if you're inconsistent now, you cannot be consistent during the next level. And just because you reach a next level doesn't mean it's going to get easier. It's actually going to get harder. Once you reach a new level in a video game, guess what? The boss gets harder to defeat. If you're not able to defeat the lower level bosses, what makes you think you're going to defeat the higher level bosses? But guess what? If you don't give up, and the great thing is you have God on your side to help you fight these battles without much effort on your end. So don't make yourself out to be a defeated victim. You have victory in Christ. But as long as you put on your armor, put on your shield, and keep going, you're gonna win. And it actually makes you stronger once you keep going up the levels and don't give up. And Rihanna's stepping stone was the girl group that she was in when she was younger in her hometown. So imagine if she said, she's too good for a girl group, I can do better than this, whatever. These are the stepping stones that you need to get to where you want to go. Trust me. So that job that you're probably working at right now that you feel like is pointless, or that you don't want to do, or it doesn't match the vision that God has shown you, think of it as a stepping stone in order to achieve that alignment that you're looking for. Because what I find that is, each step of the way, you are learning something that you need at the next level. It's like you're picking up items during this video games that you need in order to defeat the big boss or to get to wherever you're going. And this is when she was actually discovered by Evan Rogers, the person that discovered Rihanna while he was on vacation in Barbados, and instantly he wanted to work with her. So imagine she said she was too good for this girl group. I don't want to do it. She would have never been discovered by Evan Rogers and be the Rihanna we know today. So this is what I'm talking about. Don't take small opportunities as small. They're actually big opportunities, okay? Because the small beginnings lead to synchronicities, alignment, and divine opportunities. This was a divine connection that God made. And what's so interesting is that Evan Rogers' wife is also from Barbados. Isn't that crazy? So Rihanna took a chance on life, and at a very young age, I don't know if it was like 15 or something like that, she moved out of her home country and went to go live with Evan Rogers so she can hone in on her talents, hone in on her singing, and refine it even more. So even more training that she had to go through. She was young when she did this. How many of us would move to a strange country to live with a strange man that says, I want to make you into a superstar? Are you willing to go? Some of us miss opportunities because of fear. We reject opportunities due to fear, and we don't realize that God is actually in it. And it's not to say that if you miss the opportunity that it will never come back again. That same one might not ever come back again, but God is a God of unlimited possibilities. So he may generate a new opportunity for you, but you have to stop blocking them because of fear. In this opportunity, she was able to transform into basically a butterfly. You know how a butterfly goes from a caterpillar and then transitions over to a new creature? This change is uncomfortable, okay? It spends so long in a dark cocoon, and it has to wait for a certain season in order to develop, but it is a requirement and is necessary. And through this divine connection was her next big breakthrough. And how do you know if this is an opportunity from God? How do you know? The thing is, for one, you'll know it's a divine opportunity from God because the connections will line up perfectly. So that connection was that his wife was also from Barbados, and he just so happened to be traveling in Barbados. That was a sign that, okay, this is a God opportunity for me and I need to take it. But do not be so scared and so fearful and overthink things, because that can actually hold you back as well. So even if it's not something that God probably presented you, yes, you may experience heartache during that because it wasn't God, but as long as you're in alignment with him, he'll bring those opportunities to you. And even if it wasn't from God, he's so sovereign, he's able to redirect and reshape it and use that opportunity for something else or for another good thing, even if it's not from him. So don't be so scared and be like paranoid. Oh, is this from God? Is this not from God? A lot of us Christians do that. We're too scared to take advantage of certain opportunities because we don't know. But as long as you're in alignment, and even if it wasn't from God, he will find some way to work it out for your good. Okay, so her next big breakthrough through that divine opportunity was a signed record deal with Jay-Z. Crazy, right? A little girl from Barbados got to meet Jay-Z, and it was said that Jay-Z was apprehensive at first to sign her because she was so young, and he did not know if she was able to be consistent. But guess what? She has already proven to be consistent because of her preparation, her training, the refinement. She's already proven to be consistent because she did not give up over every little thing that may have came her way. So that is what God tries to teach you during your training and preparation season, is to not give up over every little inconvenience or setback, is to keep going. So you have already proven yourself up until your next breakthrough. You're able to handle the next stage and the next level. Because a lot of times with artists, what happens? They'll be set for a performance and then something bad happens. Are you not going to perform because somebody said something you didn't like or somebody upset you? No, you can't just cancel the performance over every little stupid thing. You have to keep going, because it's not about you at this point. It's about other people who probably paid so much money to see you. You can't just keep giving up over every little thing, because it goes beyond yourself at this point. It's not about yourself anymore. It's about other people. So I ask you, is there a step that God has called you to, but you completely given up on that step because it's not what you thought it would be, or it's too hard? I encourage you to refresh that step and to keep going and to move on to the next step. Take it one step at a time. And one thing that I love that everybody said about Rihanna is that they just had this knowing. Beyonce said it when she was on stage performing. Jay-Z said it. Evan Rogers said it. I'm pretty sure a whole bunch of other people said it. It's like they just said she just had something. That girl right there, yeah, she's gonna be big. They couldn't really explain it like specifically. They just sensed it, and it's spiritual and it's energetically. You just have a knowing. So that just proves how spiritual this world is. And a clue for you is that if you ever hear people say, you have so much potential, I feel like you were made for something bigger than this. I can see you doing this or doing that. Like, I can see you doing something big. If people have said something along those lines to you, God has put this in you, this light in you that other people are able to sense without even having to explain exactly what that is. It's the light of Christ. That is just confirmation that God has set you on the correct path, and you just need to follow it. Spiritual practice number 4, a setback is a divine opportunity for a comeback. Now, many of us don't like this stage when we experience setbacks that seem to take us back 20, 50 years. It really doesn't. A setback, imagine a slingshot, right? Being pulled back. Even though you're being pulled back, it's a slingshot to propel you and to sling you forward. So much more forward that you wouldn't be able to do this had you just been taking steady steps along the way. So don't think of setbacks as like, oh, God is against me. I don't know why these bad things are happening to me. And we could see this in Rihanna's earlier life when she experienced that devastating moment with her partner several years back. And she actually had a performance that night that had to be canceled because of that incident. Just like any other human being on this earth, she's going to experience a setback. But hers, unfortunately, is made known publicly to the world. Her face was shown on every news outlet. Everybody was talking about it. It's something that she could not avoid, but it was something that happened to her, and it changed both of these individuals' trajectory of life. So you can either let the setback crumble you, or you can make it reinvent you. The great thing she did was she did not let this break her, but it made her almost into a whole new person. And it's kind of crazy how this happens, which is what it's meant to do. Because certain things, certain growth that you need to experience can only be experienced through pain. Unfortunately, we don't like to hear it, but you can see this in her album Rated R. That darkness that she had a new grit in her voice. She had like almost like a new personality, a new I don't give a F attitude. Because of that incident, she was able to turn the darkness into good. So just like Joseph said in the Bible when he told his brothers, you meant to harm me, but God meant it for my good. So bad things will happen. However, God promised that the good and the bad will work out for your benefit. So the way you have to go about this, you have to remove your pride to the side, and you have to let your soul do the speaking for you. Instead of, the hindrance, the overthinking, you have to become almost uninhibited. And you have to have a new flow state of mind. And she executed that through her album. And then can you imagine, she also experienced a money mismanagement situation with her team that almost left her bankrupt. Imagine going through this within the same year. Some people say, you know what, this is not for me, I give up. But you can't give up, because it is for you, okay? It is for you, because these situations are meant to make you stronger. It's not meant to break you. You might be broken temporarily, but that's when God, picks you up and puts you back together again, and you're almost better. you're almost better. Now you learn how to set boundaries, proper boundaries. You learn how to speak up for yourself. You recognize the red flags on when to say no. You learn how to manage money better. And these lessons you could take with you and apply them to the next step. And ironically, her mother also experienced domestic violence as well. So you have to be mindful of generational patterns and curses. Otherwise, they may follow you. But you have to be the one to break those generation cycles, which Rihanna did do. As you can imagine, I can tell she probably takes no BS. And she seems like she's in a loving relationship with her current partner now that would probably never think of putting their hands on her, right? You have to take these situations as lessons. Okay, what do I have to look out for next time? Because you know what? They do tend to follow you, and there will be a next time, but you have to remember, okay, I recognize this red flag. This is where I set a boundary and say no. I recognize that my team did this last time with my money. Let me find a better team and let me be more cognizant of what's going on. So those are the lessons that you learn, you apply, and you move on. Spiritual practice number 5, you will experience criticism. Okay, the devil loves to insert doubt into your mind, to make you give up. Basically, that is the end game, is to make you give up and drop whatever God has called you to do, and to, forsake all the blessings that he has for you. And you can't give in to this tactic. So for a while now, people started to say that Rihanna couldn't sing. They would try to match up her voice against another artist's voice and do like a comparison and contrasting and say her voice doesn't sound as good or whatever. Then a whole bunch of other people started to say she couldn't sing. And then I would almost start to believe this as well. And Rihanna is like, when I used to listen to a lot of secular music, Rihanna was my favorite artist. And I almost started to believe this. She couldn't sing. And I'm like, oh, maybe she can sing. Like, those voices start to get in your head. That doubt starts to get to your mind. But I decided to do my own research. Okay, y'all. And I started to listen to the songs that maybe had the original artist on the track versus her version of the song. And I was like, no. There's no way. I undeniably preferred Rihanna's version better, and there's a reason for that. Although people may have like schooling and they know all these complicated jargons and they have 10 years of education in whatever field, that does not necessarily make you better. Rihanna has an intuitive knowing of singing, and it was developed through her unique personality and through her identity that she puts out into her work. When I listen to her song with her voice on it, her unique fingerprint, it just works. So don't worry about all these, I need to get 50 degrees in this, and I need to get this accolade and this certificate. I mean, if it requires you, okay, whatever. But don't let this hold you back, because if you fall into the imposter syndrome trap, it can actually hold you back from what God has called you to do. Don't let the world box you in on what it says that you must have. Just flow with what God already gave you. And the good thing about it is you probably don't even have to get a degree in it. You naturally have this talent. And I find that, sure, technique and special stuff, whatever, that's fine. But the trap is that you may start to overthink if you're doing the right thing or not, and it stops you from actually doing it. Like I said, just flow with what God naturally gave you. And don't worry about the criticism. Don't worry about the judgments, the critiques, okay? I find that you can't take anything personally. And I'm going to tell you why you can't take anything personally, the good or the bad opinions. Just do what you have to do regardless of what anybody has to say. Because if somebody says something bad to you, it's out of their own lack and insecurity. I'm going to tell you how you can know. So whatever someone says something bad about you, it's really a finger being pointed at themselves. Listen to your inner thoughts and your inner criticism that you might say about other people. Do you also say that about yourself? I promise you, 10 out of 10 times you do say it about yourself. So if you catch yourself fat shaming or calling people, I'm just pointing out examples, calling people ugly or saying stuff about them, have you ever said that about yourself? If you have, then you know what it's pointing the finger back at themselves. That's why you can't ever take anything personally, because if the person's talking about you, if they have the time of day to talk about you, they really talk about themselves. They really critique and judge themselves. The finger is always being pointed right back at you. Spiritual practice number 6 is that full circle moments will happen. And this is what I absolutely love about God. He will bring everything into completion and into a full circle moment. And that's how you know everything came about through him and by him. Rihanna, just like us, we don't see the full scope of the vision and of the future when as God gives it to us, or how we first initially saw it, but we have to take step by step to reach the goal. And then at the end, we will have that full circle moment. Okay, I hinted at the beginning that there was a full circle moment that involved Mariah Carey. So Rihanna actually won the National Hero Award in her home country, Barbados, for her philanthropy, for her work, her dedication to her country, her generosity. The irony and the synchronicity of that is that she performed Hero by Mariah Carey at a talent show that she won. So I said, oh my gosh, that is such a full circle moment. It's very beautiful to see that. So you can really see that all these spiritual practices at play in her life. And we have one more spiritual practice to go, but you have to keep stepping one step at a time, one foot forward at a time. God didn't call you to do everything all at once. I know we tend to get really excited and passionate when we see the vision that God has for us in our lives. It will overwhelm you if you try to overtake it all at once. That's why he only shows you bit by bit, and then once you reach a certain point, you will see the full circle and you'll be like, wow. You will be such in awe and amazement as to everything that God has accomplished through your life and how he blessed many people through you. So through imagination, creativity, excellence, discipline, and consistency, you as well can achieve the dreams that God has set before you since the beginning of the world. Okay, you get to partner up with God to achieve this. Therefore, what can you actually worry about? You don't have anything to worry about. You know, you stumble, you get back up. You will never lose your footing as long as you are in alignment with God. As a child of God, you should have extra confidence, extra faith, extra knowing, okay, extra belief that it will happen regardless of how long it's taking. Okay, it took Abraham 25 years to give birth, not him giving birth. It took 25 years for him to get that promised child, okay? So, and a mishap along the way, okay? He birthed an extra child along the way. Did that stop the dream that God gave him? No. So what is stopping you? What's stopping you? Nothing. Rihanna never forgot where she came from. Humble beginnings, broken home to billionaire, and she never had pride. Pride is that I think I'm better than anybody. You can never say Rihanna has like her nose up in the air. You can never say she's not generous. You can never say she doesn't give back to her community, okay? She's proud but not prideful, and there's a difference. And she never forget where she came from. She still hangs out with the same family members, the same friends from her childhood. That's what people love about her personality. She's very down to earth and very relatable. She seems like someone that you could be friends with. That is something you could take for your own life as well. Last but not least, spiritual practice number 7, and this is what made Rihanna a billionaire. And it might sound crazy. Everything works backwards from what we know in God's kingdom, but it's actually the right way, but it seems backwards to us. And that is to leave the former things behind. How can I let go of something in order to gain more? That is the concept. And Rihanna did this through her cosmetic line, which was revolutionary at her time for a celebrity to come out with 40 shade ranges of foundation, and it blew up and people bought it because guess what? It came out of a genuine need that she saw in her community, and she fulfilled that need. If you ever keep encountering the same problem over and over again, like, oh, I wish somebody would invent this so it can fix this, you're the one meant to fix it. That is why God put you here. Me is trying to figure out the perfect planner that would work for me, and this is what I want to work on. And you can say, oh, there's so many similar products out there in the world. So what? So what? The market is never oversaturated because God has made each and every individual have a unique fingerprint. How is he able to do that? Every individual has a unique fingerprint, so you can never say that the market is oversaturated. Yet people keep being born with brand new fingerprints. I mean, come on. Nobody's going to be able to bring about a product or a solution the way that you are able to do it, because you are unique in personality. You are unique in the circumstances and the situations that you have been through. You are unique in your mind, the way you think. Okay, and that is what will bring about a unique solution or product, is because you yourself are unique, and there's probably people waiting out there for your solution that you refuse to bring birth to. That is your purpose. You are meant to solve the problems of many. And that is how you will be blessed. There are times where God will call us to leave the former things behind and to step into something new. Some of us will find it very hard to let go of the attachment, especially if they build this legacy. They will find it difficult to remove their identity from this legacy and to move on to something else. Or maybe they might bring about new things, but it's a money grab. You could tell it wasn't a money grab for her. This came from genuine authenticity, and that's why people purchased it, okay? And her cosmetic line was the very means that made her a billionaire. Do you hear me? A billionaire. So it wasn't the music, it was the makeup, which is crazy. And the interesting thing about it is that God is so intentional. The things that you learned in the past with that former thing, like with her music career, she learned consistency, discipline, creativity, imagination, strength, resiliency. All these things that she learned helped her, most likely helped her for her new business venture. And God will just pull everything together. He doesn't make any mistakes, and he's very intentional and detailed about these things. You might think that you're starting over from brand new, but the things that you already have in your mind, the lessons, the concepts, the ideas, the way that you go about things, it's already in you because God had built that brick by brick, and it's going to help you into the next new thing. So think about it. You could be blocking your own blessing because you refuse to let go of that old thing and reinvent yourself and move on to something new. Is that you? Let's summarize. What is the secret formula to success? We went through all the 7 spiritual practices at play in Rihanna's life and the lives of many successful people, to be honest. Uniqueness and authenticity. Be the person that God created you to be, not who he created other people to be. There's only one you on this earth, and that is for a good reason. Love who you are and never forget where you came from. Rihanna was able to evolve while at the same time staying true to your core. And that is what growth in humanity is about. It's about being able to reinvent yourself, but also staying true to your inner being. Number 2, strength and resiliency. Set those boundaries like a fence. And there's a door at the fence that lets the good stuff in and keeps the bad stuff out. Protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your spirit. Otherwise, when you don't set those boundaries, that can cause you to lose everything. And number 3, generosity and a good spirit. Don't forget to give back to your community of where you came from. Never forget where you came from, because there are other individuals in those very same community that is looking up to you. Okay, don't forget where you came from. Share your resources. God loves a cheerful giver, and people will admire you for that, and you can bless other people through your resources by not hoarding them. Last but not least, just remember, it never gets easy at whatever level you reach. You think, oh, if I just get at this level, my life will be easier. That is a lie, okay? It never gets easier. Matter of fact, it gets harder. And you may catch yourself wishing that you can go back to your former life, even though you prayed for this very life. And what you need to do is just enjoy the present moment. Every day, God gives you your daily bread to step forward each step by step by step. You will still have to deal with criticism. You'll still have to deal with rejection, sadness. You still have to deal with this everyday life, regardless at whatever level you reach. Your problems just don't disappear. You might get even more problems, but God has built you to be able to withstand anything that comes along your way. And what you learn in the past will help you in the future. So what you learn during your preparation and your training season will help you during your maintenance season as you reach each level every step of the way. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for watching this video. Stay blessed, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.